Babylon by Andy Woods is a wonderful, brief book that is wonderful from my perspective precisely because this is a book that knows exactly what it's supposed to be. It never gets out of its lane and presents its case with a thorough care to help the diligent student of the Bible knows exactly the place of Babylon in God's plans. And if you don't know anything about the place of Babylon in God's grand plan for human history, you need to read Andy Wood's book, Babylon. Welcome to Rev Reads, your home for Christian book reviews from the perspective of a pastor. If you're new to the channel and you want to discover more engaging and insightful books, please subscribe to the channel to stay up to date with the most current book reviews. And if you're a regular to the channel, please give it a thumbs up and share this video. A little thumbs up goes a long way in letting more people know about Andy Wood's book and his consistent and clear exposition of the biblical text. Babylon, the Bookends of Prophetic History, was written to present a rather simple thesis. The Babylon of Revelation 17 and 18 is not a revised Roman Empire, the Roman Catholic Church, Jerusalem, or even the modern-day United States. But Babylon is the city of Babylon. It is the former capital of the kingdom of Nebuchadnezzar, exactly as John presents it in the book of Revelation. Now, I need to confess that going into my read of this book, I had been convinced by other commentators on Revelation that Babylon was actually a code word for Rome. So the author says that whenever we see Babylon in the book of Revelation, we should understand that John is actually talking about the center of a revised Roman Empire. Well, this is not the first time in my reading of Andy Woods' material that I have moved from a previous belief that I held to what I believe is a superior interpretation of the Bible based upon Dr. Andy Woods' teaching. Now, much of Andy Woods' view on Babylon as a city located where historical Babylon was situated is based upon the Tower of Babel found in Genesis chapter 11. This is another good reminder of the importance of quality, literal, and accurate understandings of the first chapters of the Bible in order to understand the remainder of the biblical text. The location of the Tower of Babel was built at the location that would eventually be the city of Babylon. This would then make Babylon the mother or the source of all false, God-hating religions throughout world history. So much of what is found in the first 11 chapters of the Bible ends up finding its fulfillment at the end of history. And the destruction of Babel, both in Genesis and also in Revelation, is another example of how this happens. In Wood's book, he shows how the Bible consistently presents Babylon not as a religious system, but Babylon is a physical city. So it would only make sense for John to follow the teaching and understanding of Babylon that was present throughout the Bible in the book of Revelation. And I love how Woods brought out that the purpose of Revelation is to reveal. And so wouldn't it be really weird in the midst of a book that was meant to reveal to use a code word to change Babylon to Rome, or to have Babylon stand for Jerusalem in a book that was meant to reveal and make things clear? Those interpretations of Babylon in Revelation 17 and 18 would only conceal a truth where we would need to wait for scholars for hundreds of years to reveal them. The most interesting part of the book for me was the part that I was kind of dreading reading the most, and that was the little section where Woods dealt with the view that Babylon is America. It was interesting, one, because I'd always dismissed this view, so I didn't know anything about it, but apparently is more popular than I would have ever given it credit for. But instead of dismissing this view just simply as nonsense, Wood takes a few careful pages to show why a view that Babylon is America doesn't align with the biblical text. He never ridicules this view. He's never condescending or rude toward those who disagree with them. He simply shows why this view and why this understanding that people have doesn't align with what we find in the book of Revelation. And I always appreciate his down-to-earth, really, I think, congenial tone that he even has with those who disagree with him in his books. Now, the chapter on current events, I'm sure, will be of the utmost help for those who are watching for the signs of the end. Woods does show a wonderful job presenting how a physical city of Babylon doesn't need to delay or impact the timing of the rapture. And I think this book will be a quality help, especially for all those dispensationalists who read the book to go from beginning to end. I think my biggest complaint with Babylon is one chapter that I wish would have been included in this book, but it wasn't there. I would have loved a brief one chapter commentary on Revelation 17 and 18. Not a commentary to simply go through all the details and explain everything in those two chapters, but I would have liked a commentary that simply highlighted all of the ways that a understanding that Babylon is a physical, literal city, that view would impact our understanding on the text. So how do we view the Bible different in comparison to others when we see that we have a literal and historical city of Babylon restored? But outside of that missing chapter I would have liked to have in it, all of the rest of the book was excellent. Woods, as always, does a wonderful job showing the reader why a normal, straightforward interpretation of prophecy is always the best. So I give my recommendation for Babylon, The Bookends of Prophetic History by Dr. Andy Woods.